Meanwhile, we have our series. Players finish up their videos, and we also have confirmation. Another series is starting at the exact same time. Steadfast is going to be covering Hero versus Solar.
Mate, I feel like that's another consecutive week of Hero beating Beyond.
Oh my god, I didn't even realize. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be interesting to see, but for now, we are going to be on Curious Minds LE. We're in the bottom right-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom right-hand corner. We have a blue Terran player coming out from the land of Korea. He is, of course, the mayor of Six City, who's going to be representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming. DPG, he is Lacure.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Curious Minds LE, we have the South Korean Zerg player representing Alpha X. He has the biggest brain in all of South Korea. It is RagnaroK.
Arguably the biggest brain of any, I was going to say Zerg player, but I think player in general.
Now, you say player, I say person. Like,
oh,
there's no one else in South Korea that really can keep up with RagnaroK. He was actually the brain behind Alpha Star. Fun fact.
He was. Everybody thought it was AI. they just painted RagnaroK.
Yeah.
Like exactly. One of those robots at or one of those robot performers. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Or the people who pretend to be statues.
I like how I was gonna go. He just had like a robot cosplay, but you're like, nah, they just painted him silver, mate. Yeah. just put some paint on him, called him a robot. Yeah. We all know that Google, they're strapped for cash. You know, they just
exactly. They have no more money anymore.
Shaking my head.
Stadia.
Oh god.
Who do you think he is? He's not probe. It's like a cosplay.
True.
He's not a weeb.
True. Oh god. That's what's so great about RagnaroK, mate.
Ragnarok's not a weeb.
Oh god. But here we go. We're in game number 1 of our series, of our ZVT, and eventually we will converge in that upper semi-finals with Steadfast, but you know, that is kind of where we are lined up here, and we'll see who is able to get there to the semi-finals. Cure, overall, the more well-rounded player, but we've talked about it before, this does seem to be his weakest matchup.
Yeah, I'm just thinking back to those finals he had versus Dark.
Yeah.
Always went 0-3. In the first week it went 0-3, in the second week we're like, alright, so he's had a week to ruminate, to think, and he did improve. He went 3-1.
Yeah, but of course, that is Dark, and Dark is a beast. You know, he's one of the best Zerg players out there. But I still am concerned for Cure's life. He's got a lot to really prove here in this series, and we'll see if he can make it past, because at the moment, this Reaper is being denied, and that's important because we do have a hidden Roach Warren in the natural.
It's especially important because Cure is, unfortunately, doing the build that, using my go-to build. Hellions gonna go for a Viking first. Once he recognizes roaches are out, you know, he could try to swap those add-ons to get a Banshee, but I think it's gonna be too late. We're on Curious Minds and the Rush distance is.
Exactly, like these roaches aren't necessarily designed to kill because RagnaroK is droning up behind this, but the roaches are going to go uncontested, right? We do have a Banshee eventually, but the Banshee was delayed because of that Viking, and the roaches are already starting to move out across the map.
Let's hope these Hellions can buy Cure a lot of time right now.
Oh, I love this, mate. We already have a wall on the way. Third base is here. That's a part of it. We have a lot of Hellions. Banshee is not too far away from coming out, and RagnaroK actually doesn't commit.
That's why he has such a big brain.
I think clearly
already forces from him.
Yeah, in the matter of seconds, like he calculated the likelihood of this really working and whether or not it would be worth it, right? Maybe he could break in, maybe he could deal with all these Hellions, but being able to break through and get into a mineral line didn't seem too likely. So RagnaroK, he just chills at home instead.
A lot of respect for Cure here. RagnaroK has.
Oh, exactly. Meanwhile, as we get into this, I did want to give a bit of a shout out, massive shout out to Fernando in the chat. Good morning, night, or day. So it's great to see you, man. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Mi amigo.
See. Oh my god. Meanwhile, the Hellions, they actually get past all the roaches. This should never have happened.
They're all lining up. All the drones are lining up. And the Hellions pounce right on top of them. 8 drones go down. And that's not even counting for the Banshee Cup that will come in later on.
Yeah, exactly. The double Banshee are on the way towards that third base. There is no Spore. There's only a Spore in the main and the natural, but not at the third base. So damage is going to be dealt. Again, the main base was never scattered. RagnaroK, he's not fully aware of what's coming his way.
Hey, that was such a hype. That was such a hype harass if I ping decided to spike.
Oh god. Thankfully it didn't.
You know?
Yeah, thankfully it didn't really affect the game. But yeah, like the roaches, their goal was to stop something like that from happening, but somehow Cure got the damage anyway. Meanwhile, the Spore has to be repositioned. 4 more drones go down. Like, this is an insane amount of economic damage that's being dealt. Ugh.
Every single drone being produced right now is larva that's not being spent on roaches, not being spent on zerglings or anything really. Cure only slightly behind the worker count, and with his mules, I would actually put him ahead when it comes to the economy.
Yeah, definitely. Like, what he's done is insane. And again, like, RagnaroK had the tools to defend. He was just out of position. He was just barely out of position, and now Cure is in a very comfortable place in his life, right? He's getting his third up and running, he's getting more SCVs out, he's got his upgrades, and he's safe at home because of these tanks. Like, a roach push shouldn't really do too much here.
Yeah, it's still a very wide open area, I will say, but again, this is why it was important for Cure to have taken out as many drones as he had, because imagine RagnaroK not necessarily maxed out, but might as well being maxed out on roaches right now, just converging on top of this third base.
Yeah, and honestly, what I love as well is that Cure, he's even like thinking outside the box right now. While he's being a little bit active here with these Marines, he actually throws down a missile turret to cover the ramp in case there are borrowed roaches. So I feel like he's aware of how RagnaroK plays. He's like, he's
been traumatized by RagnaroK a couple of times, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's like, yo, you're the kind of player that would go borrowed roaches. Let me just cover my bases just in case to make sure I'm not, you know, nothing crazy like that catches me off guard.
Cover my bases literally and figuratively.
Exactly.
But in all of this time, RagnaroK knows that Cure is being kept back. He's not going for any major pushes, so he goes for an 8-minute hive timing.
That's a fast hive, mate. Interesting. So because he's going for the hive, he's not going for infestors to support his roach ravager. Instead, it looks like he wants to go straight into vipers, which I don't blame him for, but again, just a very, very greedy move here from RagnaroK.
But honestly, if he has enough time, if he gets those a couple of full energy Vipers out, it can absolutely shut down the army that Cure is going for at the moment. Oh yeah,
it really can. Just RagnaroK needs a lot of time right now, because I was saying can tentatively, just because Blinding Cloud does amazing against tanks, but there's a pretty strong bio army here. 1-1 just finished up. We need Ling Bane. Ling Bane is on the way though, so, and Baneling Speed is already done, so RagnaroK, he has all the tools he needs. Hive is done, he double expanded, he's getting more bases up and running, and he's not like being overly aggressive and pushing in, which is what Cure wanted.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want when you have all of these tanks out. Especially when your opponent's going for Roach Ravager. You just cannot be caught on siege in the middle of the map. Yeah, exactly. He was waiting for the big push and it just never came. Meanwhile, RagnaroK being very patient, snipes of a tank, really slowing down this push. But Cure did get a decent chunk of creep. Yeah, he sets himself up pretty nicely for a follow-up push, which is coming. He's just slowly but surely making his way across the map, leapfrogging these tanks wherever he can.
Yeah, exactly. RagnaroK, he's ready to receive. He's already maxed out. But these tanks are very nicely positioned, and we need some queens to show up here and respread that creep. Otherwise, this is just never going to happen. Meanwhile, we were assuming that the hive was for Vipers. Nah, mate. It's for Ultras. What?
Okay, then.
He's still getting +1 melee, and he's going for Ultras? Okay.
I mean, that's why he's getting +1 melee, you know?
Yeah, he
knows he's getting Ultras.
Oh my god, exactly, mate. Meanwhile, the Lingbane is fighting quite well. These tanks are not in the best position. 3 tanks here sieged aren't taking part of the fight at all. So honestly, those were pretty good fights for RagnaroK, slowing things down. There finally are those Vipers. The Vipers, we were talking about Blinding Clouds. Not just Blinding Clouds, they can also go for the yoinks and really shut down those tanks.
Yeah, any spare energy he has, he may as well throw in a Bear Bomb too. Just force these bio units to be even weaker than they normally would be.
I mean, Power Bombs are his only consistent form of anti-air. Like, he's got Lingbane, Verge, Ravager, mate. Like, nothing shoots up.
And he's some way of preventing drops from landing. May as well. Fortunately, RagnaroK did not research Burrow. Secure is able to dispatch that single Ling and get his 4th base. Are we right? Yeah, 4th base up and running.
Yeah, his 4th.
It's a little bit delayed.
It is, right? RagnaroK has been on 5 bases for a while. There's the 6th base finally on the way. Meanwhile, I love this. Curie's going for a bit of multi-prong. Again, clearing up a lot of this creep. And this is where I have to be a little bit critical, right? Where are those queens? At the moment, we only have injecting queens. We actually don't have any spreading creep. So it's getting a little bit difficult. We have 1, mate. And oh god, no! The 1 queen! No!
We had 1.
We had 1, and now we have none. Meanwhile, in come the Vipers!
Beautiful Blinding Clouds on most of the tanks, and even some of the bio, even some of the paths that the bio would retreat to. So yeah, kiting just wasn't really an option here for Cure. He still has a lot of Marauders, so RagnaroK does not want to fight them when he's only on +2 Carapace.
Yeah, this is still a very strong bio army, but as you pointed out, every single tank just got picked off. And now a ground army is going to be that much more stronger here for RagnaroK. There is no anchor. There's no anchor for the Terran.
He's trying to get Widowmines now, but we know that RagnaroK's already working on Ultras. What are Widowmines going to do against them? Not a whole lot, but Marauders can do a whole lot.
Yeah.
In fairness.
What's scary though is that kindness plating is already done. +3 armor is on the way as well. So is ultra speed. So these ultra upgrades are going to be absolutely insane. They don't have the melee upgrades, but you know, you don't need them as long as they're able to survive long enough to get on top of the army.
Yeah, just live for it.
Just live, mate. And that's exactly what RagnaroK's doing. We have a couple of Widowmine shots going off, and you know what? They're pretty good, but at the same time, can he really keep up with all of this Zerg?
Well, he was for quite some time, splitting beautifully against the Banelings, having his concussive shells help out a ton as well. He's dealt with the Marauders, and now he's going straight for the counterattack. Did I say Marauders? I meant to say Ultralists.
Oh god, the Widowmines, they're resetting, and they're gonna be going off on the Roach Ravager. Cure, he barely survives. He's getting a little bit overstimmed. He's gotta be careful. He's gotta respect the reinforcements of RagnaroK as more Ultras are on the way, and finally those upgrades that we were talking about, they're finally going to finish up. You could argue maybe RagnaroK pulled the trigger a little bit early. What's a little bit scary as well is that he didn't have detection. Those Widowmines survived from the previous fight, but now the Widowmine count is getting pretty large.
It's going to reutilize them. Banelings are probably the scariest unit out right now for RagnaroK, just because of how, well, I say how many of them there are. There aren't that many. Comes back to RagnaroK not really having much of a gas count. Yeah,
he's really struggling with that gas. He needs to take the gas at his 4th and 5th actually. He only has a single gas geyser in either base. So he's really lacking at the moment. He's got a massive mineral bank, but he needs to recognize this and pull out of those minerals and get that gas up and running. Otherwise, he's not going to be able to keep up, and he won't be able to remax after every single fight. Ugh.
Well, speaking of remaxing, he is trying to clear himself some supply. Utilizing that mineral bank to go for a couple of run-bys here and there. Some friendly fire does land on Cure, but I don't know, I feel like Cure is still trading a lot more efficiently.
He is. He definitely is. He even has a drop here towards the bottom left. So top right base for Cure goes down, but this 6th base for RagnaroK is also going to go down. Ultras are not stopping though, and oh my god, they're going to get on top of some of this army. The planetary goes down.
And on top of a lot of this army, actually, the Zerglings here to cut their retreat as the Marauders try to get their Kaiser Blades in. Unfortunately, not quite able to. 28 SCVs have gone down. And only 2 drones.
Oh my god.
For RagnaroK, beautiful connection with the Banelings.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, unfortunately, the Lings were on a little bit of an A move, so they couldn't really surround that army like you were saying, like RagnaroK wanted. But that's because a lot of Ling Bane was at home defending against that drop. Sure, Cure got a base, but RagnaroK got 2, as well as all those SCVs. RagnaroK was able to pull the boys and preserve a lot of his workers, so he doesn't have to waste any resources on that. And now Cure's in a really rough place. He's denying bases here and there, which is great, and he's getting ghosts, to be fair.
Yeah, these ghosts alone, I think, makes it so that Cure has the better army, but
yeah.
RagnaroK is a much better economy. Still doesn't have much of a bank at the moment, but pretty soon we're going to get to the point where RagnaroK can just trade as inefficiently as he wants, as long as he gets kills, as long as he gets damage.
It's one of those things where RagnaroK is on a bit of a timer. He has to keep all the draw. Oh god, the Widowmine!
Oh
no!
Vipers! Who get sniped by both the Widowmines and the Ghosts, and that alone is a massive disadvantage for this fight. A lot of Banelings start to break through. Some of them connect with the Marauders, but a lot of them connect with the Marines. Ultras started to bust on forward.
I don't know if you noticed, but every single ghost just died. A couple of ghosts are on the way coming out, but the Banelings did their job. The Ultras are coming out. There are no snipes. GG gets called, and RagnaroK takes game 1.
Whew. It looked to be a very back and forth game for the most part, but at the same time, was there ever a moment where RagnaroK didn't have that map control?
Yeah, like that fast hive really paid off for RagnaroK. We thought he was crazy, but Cure was honestly really passive in the first 10 minutes of the game. Like, he was, because of the Roach Ravager opening, he expected a Roach Ravager push, so he was defensive at home, and RagnaroK was aware of that, and he took advantage of how defensive Cure was being.
After that, takes game 1.
Oh, GG, well played. That was just really smartly done there by RagnaroK, and you could see, like, even though Cure, it looked like he was fighting better, he was fighting more efficiently, but you pointed it out when it happened. Like, his 4th base was late, his 5th was non-existent. Like, it took him a while to really get those bases up and running.
And by the time it did, well, too little too late. But that was game number 1. This is game number 2 on a much larger map. Hopefully he has a little bit more of a comfortable time here in the top right-hand corner map, starting all the way to the top right-hand corner of Hardwire LE. We of course have a blue Terran player coming out from the land of Korea. He is going to be representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming DPG. For anyone with seasonal allergies, he is Cure.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Hardwire LE, we have the South Korean Zerg player. He is red, going for a pool first opening. Oh my god. Representing Alpha X, it is RagnaroK.
So, roaches?
It could be, actually. We'll see. He doesn't have early gases, though. He did go for a hatch pool opener. So this tells me that he's being safe, and he was a little bit afraid of Cure maybe going for a proxy.
Yeah, he's checking the periphery of his bases right now with his overlords.
Yeah.
RagnaroK knows. He knows that Cure has a bit of a tendency to go for proxies if he's behind.
Yeah, and I mean, 6 Lings are on the way. We know that there is no proxy, but RagnaroK is just making sure, and these 6 Lings could maybe deal some damage, but thankfully Cure is going for an SCV scout, so he should take note of the late hatchery and keep his Reaper at home.
Ears open. I do think that the best case scenario for these Lings is to just get a delay on that CC.
Yeah, I mean, the Lings are sneaking across the map. They're going to be able to get into that natural base, but Reaper, again, is staying on Cure's half of the map, so Cure should be able to defend at home. Also, I see you in the chat. Exclamation mark Funada SC2. Oh god, if you're wondering what Funada is, it is of course how we can call people out, but in a friendly way, but yes, it's one of those things where like Cure is a really good player, but everyone has a worse matchup, and usually in these weekly tournaments, it is a Zerg player that would take him down. He's not out of this tournament by any means. I'm not calling him out, like as in Cure. Like he can definitely come back and make it into the semis. But RagnaroK is still a formidable opponent for him.
We're not calling him out. We're just Funaraing him.
Yeah.
Funara Cure.
Oh god. Shaking my head, mate. Shaking my head. Oh god. But yeah, we'll see how this goes here. What I will say is that Cure, he is looking pretty nice after that opener. What I mean by that is that RagnaroK did go for a pull first to be safe, and he didn't accomplish anything with it, right? He couldn't delay the CC, and there was no early aggression for him to defend against.
Yeah, kind of put himself behind for not a very good reason.
Definitely. Oh boy. Meanwhile, meanwhile, massive shout out to Sando in the chat, 15 months subscribing. Oh my god, quack. Quack.
Quack.
Just reading his sub message.
Oh. Wait.
But yes, thank you so much, Sando, for resubbing. Again, a massive supporter on the channel. We really appreciate it. Really do appreciate it. Thank you for the support. And Merry Christmas.
Oh yeah, that happened.
Yeah. I have to keep reminding myself.
To all of our viewers. And happy Boxing Day. Hope you get the right hook of your dreams.
There you go, mate. That's what it's all about, mate. That's what it's all about. Oh boy. Meanwhile, here we are in game number 2, and once again we have a very similar opening from Cure. Went 1-1-1, going into that Banshee, not opting for the faster third CC, but RagnaroK also, I say also, he's the one who's mixing things up, doesn't go for a Roach Warren this time.
Set goes for a very fast lair. Keeping our eyes on the gas count right now. I would love to see some 2 basic Muta coming out, but does appear to just be Lingbane in the Hive. I say that. We don't have a Baneling Nest yet.
We don't. The double Evo Chamber does lead towards, like, 1-1 and a commitment into a ground army, but the fast lair could be to go into, as you pointed out, no Baneling Nest, so a faster Spire.
He's starting to get his gases.
Is the
saturated gases.
Yeah, the gases are being taken. 1-1 is on the way, and we're just waiting to see what the purpose of this lair is. Oh, but the Banshee shows up, and due to this Banshee, Cure, he has eyes on that lair.
He's well aware of the lair. Also, my mistake, there was a Baneling Nest. There you go. Baneling Nest is there. Baneling Speed is on the way. I feel like, especially because we saw how delayed Baneling Speed was, if there wasn't like a Banshee slipping in, maybe RagnaroK would have committed into a Spire, but in the end, he didn't. He's still just going pure Lingbane for the time being. Yeah, we shouldn't be seeing any Baneling busts anytime soon, but we will be seeing a ton of Lings and a ton of Banelings take control of the ground. What about the air, though?
Yeah, he could just go full dark, but no, never mind. I was getting excited. I'm like, yo, if he has a fast lair, maybe he goes fast Hive just for Lingbane Ultra. Nah, mate, he's going full degen. A lot of Terrans have been complaining about lurkers in this matchup.
I'm one of them.
I've been trying...
Even though I understand that Liberators are a thing now, I still choose to complain about lurkers, personally.
Well, you're one of the Terrans who's like, oh my god, lurkers, and they still just try to brute force, like, Biotank. It's like, mate. But...
Biotank? No, just pure Marines. Stay on top of them. If I dive my Marines on top of them, they don't have the range, right?
Oh, god.
Oh, wait, lurkers aren't tanks? What?
Oh, god. But we are getting a bit of ahead of ourselves. Like, there is no lurker den yet. RagnaroK isn't rushing out lurkers as fast as possible. He's just committing into Lingbane Hydra for the time being. The transition is always there when he needs it, but he has to respect this push. Cure, he's pushing out across the map. RagnaroK did see this coming, and he does morph in Banelings just in time to meet this army.
He's trying to find the right angle to meet this. There are only 2 tanks at the moment.
Oh god, there are. The Lings are coming in. There are some Hellbats to try and keep all this alive, but the Banelings do crash on in and take them all out.
Nice target firing from Cure. I really like how he's dealing with the Banelings, but there's just way too much Zerg for any Terran army to deal with in this scenario.
Exactly. A little bit of miss micro there as well. Only a single Marine managed to get picked up by that medevac. Cure loses everything. He's getting ready for a next push, but again, he just doesn't have the momentum he otherwise would have had.
Yeah, getting a tank code reset like that. Again, you don't want to lose your backbone and have to rebuild your backbone.
Oh, God.
Using that analogy.
Exactly, mate, exactly. Oh, God. Meanwhile, now that RagnaroK was able to push away that army, he's, of course, starting to work on his hive. We have a macro hatch as well, because he is just committing to pure Lingbane. We still don't see a lurker den, but, I mean, at the moment, you could argue he doesn't need it. He's still doing quite well with just Lingbane and a bare minimum amount of Hydras.
Yeah, he doesn't really need it. He also can't really afford it at the moment, because, once again, with our RagnaroK, he has left a lot of his gas geysers untaken.
Yeah, exactly. He just doesn't have the economy to really sustain that at the moment for the time being. Meanwhile, Cure's trying to be active out on the map with these drops, and he's clearing up a decent amount of that creep. But unlike the previous game, RagnaroK, he is on top of respraying that creep. He's got additional queens. He's on top of all of that. And right now, he's just being, Demao. He's just being the wall that Cure is struggling to break.
Well, it's just that much more important to have creep when you're going for a Hydra Lingbane composition like this.
Yeah.
You can sort of get away with not having creep if you have Ultras with the speed upgrade, I suppose, but not at all with Hydras.
Yeah, exactly. And like, all that RagnaroK wants to do is defend at home. Like, he just finished up his hive. Now he just finished up his infestation bit. So now he can get into hive and then get into infestors and make use of them. We don't see that yet, which is why I'm a little bit concerned. Like, this infestation bit hasn't really come into play yet, despite getting it. But despite that, RagnaroK, he has at least been keeping up with his, melee upgrades, his creep spread, his overall defense. Oh god! Ugh.
Full medevac units gets taken out basically for free. A couple of Banelings do get sniped, I suppose, but what are Banelings compared to medevacs and Marines?
You're not wrong. There we go. Hive is finally on the way. We do see RagnaroK. He's trying to catch the army, and he does catch that group of Marines, and now he's going to keep on going. Does take out one of the tanks. 2 tanks even. Is he just going to keep going from here? He's not stopping.
He may as well.
Oh.
The Lings get on top of the tanks, and they're just too spread out for the tanks to really get much damage done. I think this is about it. That was such a good defensive position for Cure, too. GG is called, and RagnaroK takes it series 2-0. Man, never doubt the brain of RagnaroK. I was doubting that brain of RagnaroK when he pushed in the middle of the map. Like, sure, he was maxed out, but I felt like Cure was nice and spread out enough. I felt like he had enough tanks. Apparently not. Going to RagnaroK. Even as a Terran player, I gotta say, some of those Baneling connections and those flanks were just... Well,
yeah. I mean, that all came down to, like, Cure, his first push being shut down the way it was. Like, oh my god, that hurt his army supply so much. Like, his tank count was reset, and he was even losing a decent amount of supply with his drops that were being active out on the map. Like, he was losing a decent chunk of those Marines time and time again. And it all just snowballed there.
Somehow those Hydras, man, they're just always able to chase down those medevacs. I have a hypothesis, which I'm basing purely on anecdotes, which is, since Lingbane without Hydras nowadays is fairly popular, Terra players aren't used to dealing with Hydras. But again, I have no evidence to back that up.
Yeah, I think maybe it was a little bit unexpected. What I found unexpected was the fact that it was a 2-0. Like, even though we look at Cure
yeah.
and we look at his ZVT sometimes being a little bit questionable, I expected an ace match. I was like, yo, let's go, you know, let's go the distance. But RagnaroK, he just swept it up, and what a strong showing here from RagnaroK. Damn.
Yeah. And now he's in the semis.
Yes.
By that hero or solo, which honestly, I feel like if you can beat Cure, you can beat either of them. But we'll see. We'll see if maybe either Hero has something up his sleeve, or if Solar is extra powered with Winter.
Yeah, like, bear in mind that they are going to be different matchups, right? And even though it's really impressive that RagnaroK took Cure down, in ZvZ, I think we've seen in the past, it's very close between him and Solar. Very close. I think we've casted them like in a best of 5, go all the way to the ace match before. I think that was during the DreamHack qualifiers, actually. That was the run where RagnaroK qualified. Yeah,
RagnaroK qualified. He beat Sola and Rogue, I think, in the same bracket. Yeah.
Check out the VODs. We casted RagnaroK versus Rogue and Solar, and he just tore them down as well. ZVP though, you know, Protoss can make a lot happen. But I think
Hero especially, I think his PvZ is definitely up there.
Definitely. Like, I think that's something to bear in mind, is that RagnaroK has been getting really impressive results recently. So I mean, maybe this is his week. I don't know if he's won an ESL Open Cup before.